up, guys? My name is Deuce Hogan. Play quarterback. Just transferred in, and I'm fired up to be here. Fired up to meet you guys, and excited to be a Wildcat.
When you decided to transfer, how did that kind of work out? How did you get connected with Kentucky, and then kind of what was the sell to get you here?
Yeah, so the first guy I think to contact me was Coach Cohen, and he reached out, and we had a really good phone call, and then I did get a call from Coach Stoops as well. And you're in the portal, and you kind of communicating with a lot of people at once. And so at that point I'm trying to evaluate quarterback rooms and offenses, and just what kind of scenario do I want to step into. And Kentucky just seemed to check all the right boxes.
So much more. Like I was later, when I guess who else were you kind of considering, or how quickly did you feel like you had to make a decision? Because there's a lot of quarterbacks jumping in the portal, and sometimes it seems like guys go in and don't find a home maybe as fast as they think they would.
Right. So for the discretion of some other schools, I'll just keep who I was considering kind of close to the chest here. But there was a sense of feeling like you want to make a decision because there was a lot of talent in the portal, and you don't want someone to kind of step in where you wanted to go. So what I basically did was narrow it down to about 3 schools that checked the boxes in terms of culture and offense, coaches, quarterback room. I think just the upward trend of Kentucky and the NFL offense, and then the relationship that I felt like I immediately had with some of the coaches. I just got a very genuine feel. I think that's what kind of sold me on it.
I know with the Courier Journal, what was your perception? I mean, you just played them in the Super Bowl. Being on the other side of that and going, how did that kind of work out for you?
Yeah, so I was actually in the portal prior to that game. I left after the Nebraska week. I was so torn. My family moved from North Texas to South Texas. My dad's a head football coach. And I was in North Texas with my girlfriend and her family, and we were watching the game. And so my phone was blowing up, right? And I'm like so conflicted because on one hand I have like the guys that are going to be my teammates. And then on the other side, I got my current best friends. You know what I'm saying? Guys I lived with, guys that I've been up at 5 a.m. with. So it was super conflicting, but it was an awesome game, and it was cool because it gave some validity to University of Kentucky, and they're just kind of to the moon right now. And Iowa was coming off a 10-win season, so it was cool. It was really fun to watch.
KSR, I'm curious, how much heck have the new guys given you about beating Iowa last year?
Yeah, I don't remember who it was, but I walked in like day one, and people are dapping me up, saying what's up, and one guy just walks in and says, if you can't beat them, join them, and the whole room busts out laughing. And I'm like, all right, like I get it, I understand, but they've been super cool, and like my defense mechanism is like I wasn't there technically, you know what I'm saying? I was already removed. But yeah, they've given me some crap, but I mean it's almost warming, it'd be weird if I was the new guy and no one talked to me, but to like come in and get messed with, like it's almost like comforting.
I'm looking at KSR. You mentioned the NFL sell. Obviously, Liam Cohen came from the Rams. Rams are playing for the Super Bowl this weekend. How big of that selling point was that to have a coach has got that NFL experience and be able to play for somebody that's been at the highest of levels?
Yeah, it was a really big deal. It was less someone that had actually been in the NFL I was looking for, as opposed to an offense that I knew would translate. I think is the best way I could put it. And it was really important. I would not step into a system that I didn't feel would translate or fit my abilities, my skill set. And one of the things Coach Cohen talked about was that he's like, we're going to play to the strength of the guys that we have. So there's the system, and then there's the person, and the offense. And I think we watched it. We watched kind of what the Rams do, and then we watched him with like Will being such a talented guy, the ability to incorporate him running the football and just really play to his strengths. And so it was kind of a 1-2 punch, just the NFL, but something that I felt could translate.
Curious, you mentioned Will's skill set. He's not afraid to lower his shoulder, jump over some dudes. Are you gonna be jumping over any guys? Is that part of it?
No, probably not. No, I was watching tape with the GA, and we're watching this cut up, and he's teaching me like these pass progressions, 1, 2, 3. And Will's like 1, 2, just take off like Superman 360, flip over somebody. And he's like, "You gonna do that?" It's like, "I'll probably throw that one away." So, yeah.
The UK radio network, that's the rest of my face, such as it is. You mentioned culture. What do you mean by that? What were you looking for? What did you find? What do you think of what you found here?
Yeah, so I think there's two sides to college football. I think there's a lot of programs that try to make, cookie cutter, like a factory where you're making a certain type of kid, and then there's other places where everyone just comes in as themselves, I guess I would say. And I think that there's been two different styles, and a lot of styles have both seen success. You know what I'm saying? And the thing that was so attractive about Kentucky is that everybody seemed really happy to be in the building. And I have great relationships at Iowa, and people were happy to be there too. But this was a little bit different, and um, they pulled me into a room and they were like, "Look, we're never gonna ask Deuce Hogan not to be Deuce Hogan," and that was cool. And so you walk in the locker room, everybody's dancing and laughing, and fun music's playing when everybody's lifting. It was just like everybody looked like they're having fun, and I think that there can be places where people are more strict, but I think there's a lot of value in everybody wanting to be in the facility that day. You know what I'm saying? Everybody waking up and wanting to go be with those coaches and wanting to go be in that weight room, because the facility is supposed to be a place where you get to chase your dreams with all your best friends. If it's used incorrectly, people can start to resent it. But at Kentucky, everybody loves being there, and that was super cool. Looking from the outside in.
Starts with winning, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it's a big part of it. A winning culture, and obviously, recent success. But I think, you don't win without the right type of preparation and allowing everybody to be themselves.
You were your dad's head coach. You've been doing this kind of your whole life. What was that experience like growing up, being around like that close to the game of football?
I mean, it was heaven. Texas football. Dad's a head football coach. Whole town shuts down on Friday night type deal. School I grew up with, our mascot was the Lions, and like until you're a Lion, you're a Cub, right? So everybody's like in the Cub club, and like you live and die for Lion football. So I wouldn't go back and change a thing about how I was raised. There was never a time where I felt like, oh, it's too much. And then right before going into my freshman year, we had a really talented kid that ended up going to play at San Diego State, transfer out. And so I kind of stepped into the starting quarterback role as a freshman because there was no one ahead of me, and we won the first state title in school's history, and it was it was to the moon from there.
How's dealing with that pressure, with all that comes with the Cub Club and being the coach's son and having to fill in for such a big role?
For me, it was fun. I think that pressure is something that, I guess the best way to put it is that you can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't feel it. It's just this word that people describe. And like anytime that someone talks about it, at least in conversation with me, it's like I'm like chasing my dreams. Like there's millions of people that would be able to snap their fingers and switch with me. They would kill for that. Like it's an opportunity. If you mess up, you mess up and you go on with your life. But for me, I've never seen pressure as something that gets my heart rate too high. And like every time that I stepped out in a Faith Lions jersey, like it was awesome. It was my dream. It wasn't a pressure scenario.
When your first recruitment going to Iowa to now, you're going through the transfer portal and stuff. How do you think you've grown? What did you learn, so far in your time as a college athlete?
I'm a different man than I was when I came out of high school. In the sense that I've 18 months ish that I've had to wake myself up at 5 a.m. and I moved 16 hours from home and kind of cut the umbilical cord is the best way I could say it. You just learn to do your own thing. I was paying my own rent, and I'm responsible for myself for the first time. And luckily, I come from an unbelievable family with a great mom and dad, so I was taken care of, not necessarily babied, but there's a transition from boy to man, and so Iowa was there to experience that transition, I think. And, there's rough spots just like everybody goes through. I feel like as I've come into Kentucky, I'm now coming in. This will be my third year in a college program. And I've done the 5 a.m. lifts, and I've done some of the harder things. And so I would say just my experiences outside of football have just kind of caused me to grow up, age me in a good way, I think. And then in terms of football, like one thing I've really noticed is that like learning an offense, learning one high level offense, you learn like learning another one is kind of it's kind of cool because there's a lot of the same concepts in the sense that, Coach Ferentz, Brian was coming from an NFL world, and Coach Cohen is, so they might have different names for them, but I think having learned one offense already, like picking up this one's coming really quickly, and it's just, you do something more than once, it starts to become a little more natural.
Will, tell me a little bit about trying to fight for the job.
Yeah, so one of the things I just talked about with Coach Cohen was I just want opportunity. I don't want any promises, and for me, it's not a pride issue. Like if I get beat out, well, then I understand I got to be better. Best man plays, especially in this conference. Um, but yeah, I just want an opportunity, and whether that comes, in the spring ball or whenever that comes, I'll just be fired up for it.
Schematically speaking, has there been a moment of enlightenment when you're going through something like, oh, so you run this to set up this, or has there been a moment like that when you're going through meetings and tape just to learn the new system?
Um, the best thing I can say is that the terminology within the offense all makes sense. So they use words that trigger, okay, makes you think of this concept. And so I don't think there's been a real big light bulb. I just think that it's come pretty naturally, and they have a great way of installing it and keeping it. You never feel overwhelmed. It's like you learn a couple concepts, learn a couple coverages, whatever, and then you get out, relax, enjoy your day type deal. And so, as a result, I'm the one that's like banging the door down to try to get in the film room, and I never feel overloaded. I feel like every time I'm taught something, I can grasp it.
Last question,
Listen,
we gotta.
In this world of the transfer portal, how important is it to see what Kentucky did with their transfers last year? I mean, Will and Wandell and all those guys succeeding. How attractive is that to guys now?
That's a really big deal, and I think that it kind of shows that they will give whoever an opportunity. And I'm all about loyalty. Like you recruit a kid, and that kid's family, and it's awesome to give the guy that you recruit an opportunity. On the other side of it, there is a business aspect to this whole thing, as everybody knows, and so to see guys come in and be able to make an instant impact is very attractive.